Hello. So we're talking about sleep paralysis today. If you're unfamiliar with sleep paralysis, it is a state of consciousness described by many as kind of an in-between sleep and awakeness, consciousness. And a lot of people describe it as not being able to talk, not being able to move, and it's oftentimes accompanied by terrors or a horrible dream. I've had my fair share of sleep paralysis throughout my life. The first time I ever experienced it was around the age of 7. I was lying in bed and I thought I was awake. And at the time my little brother was 4 years old. And I heard in the other room my mom and my little brother were singing a song together. And I remember thinking, like, oh, I'm laying here, they don't know I'm awake. Wouldn't it be funny if I chimed in and started singing with them? And they'd be like, oh, wow, that's funny. He heard us singing. So I tried to sing, and it just came out as like, just breath, nothing. I couldn't sing. And it was at that time that I realized, like, I couldn't move. But it wasn't accompanied by, a fear. It was just weird. And it was so long ago and probably short-lived, I didn't really think much of it. I don't recall being bothered by it or fearful that day when I woke up. I was a little kid, and I think I just didn't think much of it. I thought maybe it was a weird dream. I think that's what I thought. But as I got older, as the years went on, I would experience this sleep paralysis from time to time. Oftentimes, I would experience sleep paralysis when I would sleep in a location that was foreign or new or different. For example, if my family went on vacation, I would experience sleep paralysis in a hotel room, in the bed. If we went camping, I would experience it sleeping in the tent at night, or even falling asleep in a moving vehicle on a road trip or something. My parents were driving and I didn't get much sleep before, and I'd fall asleep and then I would experience sleep paralysis in the vehicle. And it happened when I slept in an uncommon place that my body wasn't used to sleeping in. And all along those times, it was never accompanied by a fear. It was just annoying. It was weird. It was like, it feels like your body is stuck on a giant sticky mousetrap or fly paper, or like you're stuck in a bunch of sticky liquid, like you're just stuck in a huge vat of honey, and you're trying to pull your arms up, you're trying to move, but you can't, and you can't really talk. It's all just breath, it's air. And I've probably experienced sleep paralysis 20 times total in my life. And I would sometimes talk to other people about it and research it. And I quickly found that a lot of other people who experienced it, the paralysis itself was accompanied by, as I mentioned earlier, a terror, a fear, and more interestingly so, a weight on their chest, a pressure on your chest, like there's some kind of creature sitting on your chest. And I would hear this and read about it. I was like, wow, that's really weird. I have the whole paralysis thing, but I don't have that pressure on the chest or the terror that accompanies it. It was just, like I said, a bothersome thing. Like, why can't I move? I want to move right now and I can't. So probably like 4 or 5 years ago, I had a particularly strong episode of sleep paralysis in the early morning in my own bed. I mean, sometimes it just happens in a place that I'm used to sleeping, in my bed. And I don't know what to attribute it to, maybe just the perfect alignment of scenarios, and I just have sleep paralysis. But a few years ago I had a very strong episode of it, and I remember reading about an account that somebody wrote online, and they said, focus on, if you find yourself in sleep paralysis, focus on one part of your body and move that one part and just focus on it. And for me, it was my big toe. And I think that's what I read about. Just move your toe. And it's so bizarre because it feels like, for one, the human brain is so powerful. Our nervous system is insane. All I have to do is think about raising my arm and it goes up. the synapses go, the muscles fire, and it all happens. But it's like sleep paralysis, part of the brain is shut down, so that neural pathway from the thought of moving a certain body part and actually making it move, it's like it's jaded, and it's not a perfectly straight path. It's so wild. I'm so fascinated still by sleep paralysis. So I did that. I was in this phase of sleep, and I was like, I just focused all my energy, and it was so mentally taxing. If you've ever been doing like a test for school or something, or you have to like, you are having to balance all these things in your mind at once, multitasking. It's like you feel your brain just working so hard. I experienced that from just the sheer moving of a body part. It was so strange, but it worked. I was able to move that toe, and it was just like a wave of mobility moved up my leg, and before I know it, I can move, and I was able to wake myself up. So strange. And it happened several times after that. I would just practice that. I would remember, and it's interesting because it's almost like a lucid dream. Like if you're able to think things through and recall memories of what you did, is that even sleep? I don't know. It's weird. So I would do that and it would work. And all throughout this time, I never experienced the pressure on the chest, ever. I never really experienced the terror that comes with it, like something is in the room going to get you and you can't move. I never had that. I'm glad I didn't, because it sounds pretty awful. And there's a famous painting, maybe you know who it is, who painted this, but I believe it's a woman laying in bed on her back. She's having a horrible dream, and the artist's depiction was there was this little gremlin-like creature sitting on her chest like this, looking at her. And that's the way a lot of people describe sleep paralysis. You can't move, and there's a weight on your chest. Never did I experience that part of sleep paralysis until this morning. And it's weird. It's very strange. It wasn't that frightening, but I absolutely felt pressure on my chest, like something was sitting on my chest. And it wasn't a creature. The way I can most, I've tried to convey this the best I can to my family just today. But what I saw wasn't a face or anything. It was like this little statue of like a little animal head or something, like charcoal gray, about this big. And I felt like, okay, here we are in sleep paralysis. I've been here before. Try to focus on the body part, one body part, start moving it. And I did that, and then I felt that pressure on the chest. And I remembered people saying that and reading about it. And I had in my mind, while I'm in this phase of sleep, this unconscious state, sleep paralysis, I was thinking, wow, this is happening to me now. And it lasted, I don't know, it's hard to really put a label on the duration of how long sleep paralysis lasts, but it felt like a solid, minute to 2 minutes where I was experiencing the paralysis. Then I would just kind of fade off into another phase of sleep, and then it would kind of come back. So it was maybe 5-10 minutes of just kind of on and off, 3 or 4 episodes of I feel the pressure on my chest and I can't move. But what accompanied it was so weird. It's like a little figurine of like a clay charcoal gray animal head that was just sitting here on my chest. And there was not a tremendous amount of pressure, but it was a decent amount, like somebody leaning on, like putting their fist here and just kind of leaning in there with their body weight. And I'm thinking, what? As someone who is very familiar with sleep paralysis, why all those years did I not experience the weight on the chest until now? I don't understand that. And it's not because I recently read about that pressure on the chest. I knew about it, for years. And I would often ask myself, I wonder why I don't experience the terror. And to answer the question as to whether or not there was terror, I wouldn't call it terror. I did feel eerie. It was an eerie feeling. Not that I was afraid of this thing that was on my chest. It was just more kind of weirded out, like, what the heck? What is this? What is that? You know? But there wasn't a sense of urgency, like, I gotta move or I'm gonna die, something's gonna get me. It was kind of just an uncomfortableness. And I was previously having a dream that was kind of scary, but it wasn't a nightmare. And I didn't feel like I was at risk of any like immediate danger or dark forces, as it were. Because that's the way a lot of people describe sleep paralysis. There's an evil presence in the room. So I didn't really feel that. I just felt this eerie kind of, something's not right, but not a whole, something's in here that's gonna get me. Which, now that I've experienced the whole weight on the chest, that sounds pretty terrifying. If like, for one, you can't move, feel something sitting on your chest, and you actually kind of see something there, that's a horrible combination that will set you up for terror. And I am very sorry for people who experience it full blown like that. So this is a very first for me. But why in the world did I go all those years experiencing sleep paralysis without having the feeling of the weight on my chest with something sitting or putting pressure on my chest? Why now? I don't understand. I haven't changed any lifestyles or done anything different that would make sense, like that I could attribute, oh, I'm doing this differently in my life. I'm changed my whole diet, or I started taking a medication or something. Nothing has changed. So it's really bizarre. I'm wondering what your guys' is that proper English? So many people use it. Why not? Your guys' makes sense. Tell me your experience. If you've had sleep paralysis, have you always had it accompanied by a pressure on the chest, a terror? Did it start off with just, oh, I can't move, this is annoying? Or did it always start with the darkness and the terror and the evil presence of something? I'm really interested to find out. There's one more thing I was going to say. What was it? I can't remember. Oh, let's see. Oh, yes. This is a very common thing. Sleeping on your back. Sleep paralysis, for some reason, happens most when you sleep on your back. And I think I can recall every time I've ever had it, besides sleeping in the car, I was on my back. That's weird. I wonder what that has to do with sleep paralysis in the brain. So this is kind of fun to share this story. To sum it up, I've had sleep paralysis since I was about 7 years old. And I'm 29 now. And I never experienced the weight on the chest or the terror until now. Not a lot of terror, but the weight on the chest was absolutely present, and a physical object appeared to be there, a small, sculpted animal head made of clay, charcoal gray, dark colored object. Very weird, very strange, but very fascinating. I'm so intrigued by this. Almost want to experience it again, just to take more notes and just experience it again. And then try to remember this conversation I'm having with you and experiment with it. Try to pick up that object off my chest and see if the lucid dreaming kicks in or something. I don't know. So tell me your experience with sleep paralysis. I'd love to know. Thanks for watching.